Sponsor for the annual Bathurst 500 changed after 3 years from Armstrong to Gallaher. It also looked as if the 3-year mortgage by Ford's Cortina was to end. The X500 was no longer eligible. Triple winner Bob Jane not driving. Reynolds driving a Bellet. Harry Firth, Barry Seaton and Midge Bosworth all at the wheel of a Morris Cooper S. There are 17 of these 1250cc specials, the sportsman's dream. Twin-fuel tanks and fillers, bigger brakes and wheels than their city counterparts. Their Achilles heel could be tire, so the choice, balance and compression demand very special attention. Over 7 hours continuous use with hard braking and cornering. Every set of tires changed will be at least a lap lost. Secretary Hinksman and Clerk of Course Mogridge have controlled this race since its inception. Every year improvements. As ever, they're addressing some very new faces among the hardy annuals. This year, drivers from Japan to demonstrate Datsun reliability. A compulsory meeting on both practice and race day makes sure that all know old and new regulations. There's a big reputation to protect for excitement and safety, a reputation that must be retained under the new Gallaher panel. Japanese quality was well established last year by the Toyotas, and they're on the job again. 55 starters in 4 price classes up to $4,000. They're rolling out to the grid for the 9 a.m. gun. Finish soon after 4 p.m. First appearance of the Toyota Crown 6 anywhere in Australia. While Jack Needham Studebaker, not blessed with the best of good fortune, is fronting up for the 4th time. Continental topliners Altonen and Hopkirk, with Monte Carlo scalps to their belt, will throw 2 mighty minis around one of the toughest circuits in the world. Bob Holden with Brownell Altonen in 13, and Brian Foley is the partner Paddy Hopkirk wants to remember. No official Ford entries, so Harry Firth will be at the wheel of Mini 9. The winding track 3 7/8 miles, rising 650 feet. The winner will average over 73 miles an hour. One of the classic events of Australia's motor racing calendar. Stand by. Just as much noise and smoke for the new sponsor. 216 wheels gather momentum as they race to Gallaher Corner. Balloting for grid position ensures the high-powered cars get clear first, with the minis yapping at their heels. Into the famous S's with Weldon in front of the Nauga Valiant, Altonen right up behind them. Then Brown, Smith, Savers, Holden, 3 more minis. The Boddenberg Valiant, then minis galore. The infamous Forest Elbow and no change, except that the minis are a little closer and pushing very hard. Over 100 miles an hour down Conrad, and at the bottom it's obvious the Studebaker is not going to press so hard this year. Stays out wide and invites the Hurry Boys to have a go. Watch at the back as the Manda Davis Cooper bolts for Bathurst up the escape road. That first lap is quite a hazard, anxious faces among the pit crews. Now the Nauga O'Keefe Valiant can feel the thin Altonen right on his tail, waiting his chance. He got it. Between the cutting and the S's, so did Smith 18 and Brown 10. Not much relief for the big fellow. Behind him 3 more. Hodgson 12, Foley 28, Matic 21. Then Aaron, Stacey, Forrest, and well, you pick 'em. Watch Altonen's course through Forest Elbow. There's some skill in that pack and some fun. Top names like Bartlett, DeMuth, Seaton, Sutherland, Matic, Firth, Aarons, Foley. At a sizzling pace, lap time 3:14. Smith sticking to Altonen, no let up and a long way to go. The Brown Cook car is sticking like glue, no quarter ask, and Foley has got number 28 into the firing line. Matic right behind Hodgson. At this stage, anything that's not a mini is news. Car conservation is the problem. Up Mountain Straight to the cutting, closed to the public. They don't see Smith take Altonen. Privilege reserved for the local livestock. A few laps later, just after 9:30, Smith drops back and Foley hits the front. They just can't keep this up. Stamina will supersede skill as the clock ticks by. Foley holds holds that lead for 5 laps, time 9:50, and Jack Forrest about to christen Gallaher corner. He's still in there, sorting himself out, but okay. An obstacle for the others and a job for the tow wagon. Since last year, the council has done a good job widening the 2 bottom corners. You can take them both faster, but they need a new approach line. The Finn Altonen is tired of trailing Foley. He hits the front again around 10 a.m. There are only 2 escape roads, and Paul Mander has had a look at both of them. No change in front, Foley hanging on to the Finn. Stanley Gibson Cooper 17 going well. Poised in 4th, outright behind Smith, keeping up the pressure. He's just passing Harry Firth in 9, biding his time. Very noticeable that the big cars aren't joining in the front free-for-all this year. The low-priced Class A cars are now 2 laps behind the leaders, with the Lawler Gaps Cortino 53 in the van. Not by much and knows it. Going to be a hard battle all day. The 3 Datsun Bluebirds are only seconds behind, with the Japanese drivers in 54 holding second spot. The Datsun boys must feel confident, with all 3 purring round trouble-free. None of these boys can speak English, but they can drive. In the next class, up to $2,040, the Cray Holland Cooper is a clear leader, just ahead of Chivers in another 33. Then the Williamson MacArthur Toyota 34. These 4-door family saloons, 3 of them, are doing well against go-go cars built for speed. After a little more than an hour, the big cars are all about a lap behind. Little to choose between the 2 Valiants and the Studebaker. It's a track that doesn't suit big cars, and it's difficult to know how to drive against this pack of minis. As long as they don't get too far behind, the big fellows can always press later. A rear locating arm broken. He came to grips with a tree at XL Bend. No comment. At this stage, he's 3rd outright behind Altonen and Foley. This debut by the Toyota Crown 6 is impressive. Price is the only reason this 4-door saloon is in the same class as the mighty Mini. The one car with a racing background all its own. The Crown's purpose is to show its quality, and it's certainly doing that. So are the other members of the Toyota family, all 3 of them. Still just over a lap behind the Cray Holland Cooper, and none of them thrashing too hard. All 3 are driven by Australians, and at the moment, the Reed Kelly car, 37, is ahead of Williamson MacArthur in 34, Samson Marshall in 32. They're so close to each other that this pit stop for 37 will reverse the order. Cars still 13 and 28, doing 3 minutes 15. Many questioned the wisdom of being so close together, virtually slipstreaming. But it was good to watch the developing battle between the 2 fastest cars and the glamour drivers. Suddenly, after doing only 4 laps, the smiling Irishman, Paddy Hopkirk, had to share his disappointment with the crowd. Into the back of the pits with centre main bearing failure. These top-liners learn to grin and bear it when Lady Luck puts on a tantrum. The same thing could happen to Altonen. 13,000 miles to drive 15 and then back home again. It's all in the game. Light up a Gallaher and join the cheer squad for Rauno. A long pit stop for the Eiffel Tower Valiant left the Studebaker in front, Class D. The Radford Cooper rebuilding the front end. About 10 minutes after Hopkirk dropped out, Rauno Altonen brought number 13 in for twin tanks full of petrol and a change of tires. All the old hands at Bathurst conceded the masterly skill of this man in his first attack on Mount Panorama. It seemed effortless. They also doffed their lid to Bob Holden. Similar lap times told their own story. Not that this car was that far in front. Whilst in the pits, number 18, Smith, took the lead. Perhaps a little erratic, but when you're in front, the others have to catch you. Time 12:20, and Stacey has bent his Cooper on Forest Elbow. The fang percentage for these fast-moving small fellows seems high, but remember there were a lot of them. and the very nature of the race made them all press a little harder, some too hard. Stacy is okay, but the car's had it. Another change up front. She blew a tire, rolled, and hit the fence at Reed Park. Certainly getting their money's worth. So, once again, number 13 is out in front and purring round like clockwork. All day long, it was a sheer joy to watch these two handle a car that was obviously on song from the word go. McPhillum is past and along the top flat to Shell Tower. Note the tow wagon at work. And as we drop into the S's, the Lister Porter Volvo up against the bank after a 180-degree spin. The car on his tail is one of the Datsuns, with what appears to be a rising sun gleaming from the back window. Down through the dreaded Forest Elbow before heading up for the fast run down Conrod Straight. This car is lapping some 5 seconds quicker than last year's winner, going like a thoroughbred and raising a smile from the BMC training camp. Mother and child doing well. Things aren't too bad looked at from one of the BMC branches. Half a lap behind number 13 come two more Coopers. Stanley Gibson 17 just ahead of Brown Cook 10. Both driven sensibly and poised to take over if anything should happen. They've not only got eyes acting on each other, their pit crews are signaling that one of the cagiest men in the business is now fourth and steadily improving his position. The wily Fox, the master, the man with every worthwhile saloon car trophy in his locker back home. Harry Firth, you can feel him behind you all the way. Fairly obvious that confidence was the reason for the long journey by Japanese drivers Kitamo and Takanashi. They've gone to the front in Class A, half a lap ahead of the Lawler Gaps Cortina 220, number 53. Close behind the Cortina come the other two Datsun Bluebirds, driven by Roxborough Whiteford and Colwell Sutherland. In the next class, B, the Cray Holland 997cc Cooper is still well in front, with two other similar cars a lap behind. Behind them, two of the three Coronas, a Bellet, Hillman, and the other Toyota. All going well, but not without incident. In the big car class, there were only 7 entries, but 5 different makes. Carefully driven Studebakers in the lead, but the two Valiants and the AMI Triumph 2000 are all breathing down his neck, some 3 laps behind that Devil's number 13. The surprise packet in this big car class was the lone Holden X2. In previous years, they'd had more than their share of trouble. This Savage-Taylor machine is not only up with them, but sticking to the job. He has his moments, too. Around 2:30 and no joy for the big Studebaker. He'd prevented the usual wheel and brake troubles, but now his second gear is suspect. He'll be back after a couple of laps. The front-running Cooper is still performing well. Bob Holden built up a bit more time and they're in for petrol and tyres. Paddy Hopkirk is out on the pit apron to wish him well. The Flying Finn Roundhouse Altonen takes over. After 5 hours of thrashing, the strain can show awful quick. Happy to bring it to a safe stop, you then have to work out whether to chase that wheel. Not for me, brother. Yes, it's gone, nuts and all. With the Studebaker out of it, there's a real battle developing between the two Valiants, the Holden and the Triumph 2000. The Bodenberg Valiant has wheel-bearing trouble. He had his nose in front with the Nauga blackfellow pressing hard. The look on the driver's face will show how close is the margin. Harry Firth continued his forward run into second spot and then developed serious brake trouble. Typically, he voted for discretion, coached his way round. Thus, you live to fight another day. Maddich had a go, but nothing could make much impression on Elton. His average lap time for the whole day was 3:19, and at 11 minutes past 4, Art Moggridge reaches for the checkered flag. One of the few men to win at his first attempt on this course, Elton sails over the line 5 minutes 16 seconds faster than last year. A lap and 31 seconds ahead of Stanley Gibson, then McPhee Mulholland. The first 9 places outright to Mini Cooper S. Datsun, Cooper and Valiant, the other class winners. All over bar the shouting, and in champagne too. Apart from the fat cheque and a laurel wreath, there's a welcome kiss from Miss Gallaher for each class winner. At this stage, a thought for local champ Bob Holden, who shared that lap average, and the pit crew and engineers, the backroom boys who kept her going. Pity about that camera, isn't it? Do believe they're embarrassed. Cray and Holland, Class B. Congratulations, too, to Nauger and O'Keefe, who won the big car battle in the Black Valiant number 5. Perhaps Saki would be more welcome, but they don't seem to mind. Datsun first, second and fourth, Class A. This is the friendly finish as the public saw it on television, although next morning winning places have to be confirmed. Here, the Triumph 2000 is scrutinized carefully before its third placing, Class D, can be confirmed. This is a race strictly confined to standard production cars. Must be exactly the same as sold to you and me. This year, more than 250 had to be in circulation, and it's at this point the organizers ensure no one has pulled a Swifty. No Repco Brabham under the bonnet. As you would have gathered, it's not only a race for drivers and manufacturers. It's very largely staged for your benefit as a buyer's guide. Unless you're one of the fortunate few, you can't buy any car you like. You buy within a budget. Hence, a class win is just as important as the outright to a shrewd observer. It also explains why manufacturers enter cars that can't be expected to win outright. Each can only appeal to its own market. The same goes for tyres. What did the winners choose and why? How often did they change a set? Did they need to, or were they playing it safe? Analyze the toughness of the track compared to your normal use. Assess the wear rate and make your choice. So you can put your glasses down for this year's Gallaher 500. But make a date to be with us next October. It's not all thrills and spills. If you can afford a Rolls Royce, buy one. But your probable choice will be on display.